All right, Sebastian. So thank you so much for coming on here. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself before we get started?
All right, so my name is, of course, Sebastian Johannesson. I live in Australia, Victoria, Melbourne. Um, a bit about myself. I play tennis, uh, pretty good at it, I'd say. Moved up a grade like 2 weeks ago. Um, what else? I like cars, big car fanboy.
Okay.
And I like politics.
Okay. So if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 15, turning 16.
Oh, wow. Okay. So,
Yeah.
uh, well, what got you? Because like when I was 15, then I was not into politics at all. Um, who started to learn about politics? Period.
I just started reading news articles, and then I saw people on YouTube doing rebuttals to those news articles. So I started, what is it, sort of moving away from those news articles, such as here would be Sunrise and 10 News and 9 News, stuff like that. I started moving away from it because it was a bit biased while I
Okay.
was going towards YouTube. So YouTube is pretty much what started um, my like in politics.
Okay. So, who do you watch on YouTube? Like, who interests you when you're on there?
It would be Steven Crowder, um, Owen Schroyer. Uh, I mean, there's a different YouTube channel who makes like videos of Owen Schroyer destroying people. Yeah, I like watching The Daily Wire with
Okay.
Ben Shapiro and three
hmm
other guys. I forgot the name to it. Um, what else? That's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I pretty consistently listen to Ben Shapiro,
Mm,
but I do like Michael Knowles, who's also on the Daily Wire.
mm.
I appreciate Steven Crowder. He's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's
he's
a
yeah,
conservative comedian. Yeah,
yeah, definitely, definitely. But
mm,
all right, so being in Australia, we'll get because I mean the guys you listed, most of them are Americans, right? At
yeah,
least they're in the States. What I know that America has a lot to do with a lot of other countries, but Americans don't really have much to do with other countries, right? So whenever I talk to somebody from a different country, they seem to know what's going on politically in the U.S., but you talk to most Americans, they have no idea what's going on in other countries about their politics.
mm.
So like what made you want to eat? Why is that even a big deal to you?
Sorry, you cut out a little.
Oh, okay.
What's the
So
question? Yeah.
yeah, what I was asking was like, why do you find it so important to listen to these guys that are here in the United States? Like, what makes the United States politics so interesting to you?
I think it's more of just Australian politics boring me, pretty much. I mean, Australian politics just very, very boring. Like with the, I mean, it's good that we have ScoMo in office right now, Scott Morrison. Yeah.
hmm
He's part of the Liberal Party. Here it's a bit different. Like Liberals here, they're like more conservatives. And then you have the Labor, which is sort of libertarian, if you compare the US and Australians.
Okay.
Um, so hmm, I think that people knowing about Australia, it's just sort of the rights that we have here that sort of interest me. Like, of course, you guys have the First Amendment and the Second Amendment and many other amendments, which is your right and it's protected by those amendments. While here, like freedom of speech, it's not protected by anything. You have freedom of speech only to an extent here. So, like, you can't say anything offensive, but I don't wish to say anything offensive like, oh, for example, I hate gays, which I clearly don't, but we're not allowed to say it here and it's not protected and you could get fined. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I don't advocate for those type of things to be said, but in terms of our rights being protected, we have nothing that freedom of speech is being protected by.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, see, like, and I think a lot of us take that for granted out here in the
Mm,
States. Like, I think a lot of us don't realize that we have that liberty to, as bad or as wrong as we might be in saying something, we have that right to say it,
mm,
and like to hear like someone from Australia saying like, hey, like I wish I had something like that. It makes you want to appreciate it more. At least I've always appreciated that. I think the
mm.
values and principles that the United States and the Constitution hold to, I hold those values very dear. But I mean to ask you, so is Australia now? I know, like, what is the economic structure there? Like I said, I don't hear a lot
So,
of like, yeah, go ahead.
so it's usually it's leaning towards capitalism, but
Okay.
also there's a little bit of socialism in there because in terms of giving out money to the poor through taxes, we do that here, and also through healthcare and education.
Okay.
So it's a bit of both, but more towards capitalism.
Okay. All right. So you have like social programs, just like we do here in the United States,
Yeah, yeah,
where we have different programs to help people, but predominantly you're a capitalistic system.
yeah, pretty much.
So is there people in Australia that are pushing for more of a like socialist agenda like they are here in the United States?
Um, I do have some people at my school who want socialism or communism.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
so yeah, you can imagine how they look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have my really good friend for like 5 6 years. He's a sort of communist, so he likes communism and the concept of communism, and I respect him for that because he doesn't go around punching people saying, "Oh, you shit" and all that. Sorry for swearing. Um, so he doesn't go around punching people and all like people do in the US about socialism and communism. Um, but yeah, he's a nice friend, and when he talks politically, he does sort of bring up um, uh, some very key concepts of communism that personally I don't like, such as you only get what you need,
Oh yeah.
and and I don't like that personally because what if I want a supercar? What if I want to get fat? What if I want something? What if I want that business? Like,
Yeah.
what if I want this amount of money? Like, you kind of get the concept,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and
I mean
that's
it's
yeah.
highly regulated, only allowing people to have so much for, the betterment of everyone else. Like that's
Mm,
like as far as it started with property. I know Karl Marx started with Nixon people on how much like not being able to own property, but then having to pay everybody their fair share when it comes to their work and their labor and stuff. And yeah, communism, I'm not a big fan of at all. But so being in Australia, having like you guys' politics, like, and a few people obviously that differ with you. Like, what is from your small world perspective? What is your like perception of United States politics? Like when you guys from afar watch us, like what goes through your head?
Um, I feel like uh, over here, um, we get news sources such as Sunrise, Nine News, Seven News, all those things that I've told you about before. And we don't get Fox News or CNN or that
Yeah.
type of bullshit. Yeah. But these news sources, they're actually pretty biased and I'd say pretty bullshit. Like with all the politics that is happening in the US, we just had a what is it, a news report on current affair here, how they were like these two people who worked under Donald Trump are trying to they just don't like Donald Trump anymore. I forgot the names of them. I'll have to do a bit of research after this, but um they've been saying such ludicrous stuff about him, like, "Oh, Donald Trump is such a piece of shit." Not exactly what they said, but stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I generally look at fact check or trending politics because
Hmm.
they're really good websites, I'd say.
Yeah.
And in terms of US politics, I think that Donald Trump is one of the best presidents of the United States in the history of America.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of debunks a lot of what some people say about it. Like they say, like everyone around the world is laughing at the United States right now. So that's
No,
interesting.
I feel like America is like the freest place and the best place to live.
Wow. Wow. So you hear that, liberals? Take that. No, I'm just kidding. So why would you say, like, 'cause I think the lady, I know like Omarosa, someone who was on the show before, I know she's like spewing off all this stuff about how much she dislikes Trump now. So that may be who you're talking about. But like,
Yeah, I
what
think
is it
it's,
about? Is it Omarosa?
yeah, I think so.
But what is it about Donald Trump that you like so much?
I feel just as, I mean, there are some things that I like and there's some things that I don't.
Naturally.
I'll go with the don'ts first. So I think it's just him not keeping his mouth shut. I think that's him. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's funny looking at his Twitter and seeing everyone
Oh yeah.
respond and fucking cry, but like, if he kept his mouth shut, he would be extremely good. He would excel in
Hmm.
his presidency. But that's pretty much everything that's bad with him. I'd say.
Yeah.
So the good things, I'd say. I mean, this kind of correlates with the bad things, like he tweets and he makes liberals cry and all. But I think the best thing is that he's he's just a businessman. Like he
Hmm.
knows how to run a country. He's made billions, even though liberals say that he, uh, what is it, scammed everyone. Nah,
Yeah.
um, but he's just a businessman. If he businessmen's they don't really keep their mouth shut because liberty, First Amendment, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but like he knows how to run a business, and America is like a business. It's like a bigger business, but it has morals.
Hmm.
So when you correlate business knowledge and then morals,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful, you know.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. So you think just like the deregulation and just the different policies he's put forward, you say
Yeah,
those are
pretty much.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, and I think that's like see it's funny because that's like the huge contention right now. It's like you have like the younger conservatives here who aren't a big fan of Trump, where the older conservatives are more of a fan of him. And I think one of the biggest complaints I hear is because of his Twitter. Like they were just like, "Would you stop tweeting?" Like just, it's like, but
I
then at
mean,
the same,
he gets to do whatever the hell he wants.
yeah. And so then, but then at the same time, like if he wasn't on Twitter, it wouldn't be nearly as fun. Like,
Yeah,
it's just not the same.
yeah.
Because I say that sometimes too. I read some of his tweets and I just hang my head like, come on, dude. But then other times I read some tweets, I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's like a bit hypocritical there to say
Mm.
yes and no to it. Um, but being in Australia, seeing what's going on here in the United States, and like seeing kind of the fighting that's going on, like how you
Mm.
mentioned how you and your buddy, you guys disagree, it's a communist, but there's like that's where it ends, right? Over here, like
There's a respect, yeah.
yeah.
There's a
So
respect,
so
yeah.
you're saying that's missing here in our country is like the respect side.
Yeah, that's kind of what's happening. Like, I saw something on Instagram. I don't know if it's true, but I didn't get time to do any research about it. But there were protesters outside of the straight pride rally or
Hmm.
parade or something, and they were calling people who were in the pride parade Nazis and all. And that's just that's just degeneracy at its finest.
Yeah.
People calling other people Nazis just because they have different views. Like
Yeah.
it's it's not even a view, it's just your sexuality. And there's nothing great about one person's sexuality compared to another. You're, you're all humans, you're all Americans in the United States, no matter where you come from, except
Yeah.
for if you're a legal alien. but but you're all American, and you should have that respect for each other. I mean, yeah, you can say whatever the hell you want because your First Amendment right is protected. Sorry, yeah, your First Amendment right is protected. And but I think, like it says on your YouTube channel, the name of it, "Make America Civil Again." You're just going to make it civil, otherwise, there's going to be like I don't know the word for it. I need to increase my vocabulary. Um, so yeah, I'm sort of stuttering a bit nervous.
No, you're good. You're good.
So if you don't have that civil aspect in a community, you're never going to reach a high standard or higher standard than any other country in the world. So I just feel like it says on your YouTube channel, "Make America Civil Again." I think that that's what America needs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like, so I did read some things about the straight pride rally. And, like one thing when I noticed is like you see the gay pride rallies going on, like, no, I don't care. Like, it's like to me, I'm like, if you really want to go around um, talking about your sexuality, like that's kind of odd to me. But like at the same time, whatever. And same when I saw the straight pride rally, I was like, okay, that's kind of odd. Like, why do you? And I know it's really probably just a backlash from the gay pride rallies happening. So now straight people want to do it, and I'm sitting there thinking like, who cares? It's like, can we just live as human beings, as our own individual lives? Like, why do we need to go? But I've never been to a rally before. So
Mm.
for me, it's just kind of like whatever. But yeah, no, there has been some problems because of that. But yeah, like what do you think about like you ever heard of like Antifa or
Yeah,
like
I've heard them like billions of times, billions. Like, I think I've heard, what is it? Trump, what he was, oh, I forgot the word for it. He was sort of looking into it and thinking if he was going to consider them as a terrorist group. I think something like that happened in the
hmm
US.
yeah
And I've heard of this thing about the conservative bus, how Antifa that was smashing the bus full, with rocks and everything. And I've heard the clash in Portland. I've heard
yeah
about it. I've seen videos about it, how people were just outbreaking and like it's basically another civil war, seriously.
yeah.
And
It,
over what? Socialism and communism. You think about Hong Kong. People are fighting for their liberties. They're waving the American flag. They're singing the national anthem.
yeah
They want liberty. They want First and Second Amendment. They want the right to freedom of speech.
yeah.
And
So like yeah, no, I completely get, but agree. But like talking, you just mentioned the Second Amendment, which I own firearm, and then I know a lot of more liberal politicians bring up the Australian buyback, how they bought back
no,
guns.
never worked. Never worked. We never had a
No.
gun problem. We've never had a gun problem. The thing that happened in 1996, that was
hmm
only a statistical what is it? Statistical spike in what is it? In gun deaths. It was only a statistical spike. They should have never taken away the guns. And you look at the
Wow.
crime rate here in Australia, it's being increased. While in Texas in the US, crime is being decreased.
Yeah.
And they have like completely unrestricted, not completely, but very, it's not as tight as Ohio, sorry, not Ohio, Chicago, New
hmm
York, all those other places that are run by liberals and Democrats. And it's just a shithole there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
while
No.
here, yeah.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, like you look at New York and Chicago, really high crime rate, especially with guns because of gang violence and just normal crime. And you think, oh, let's ban guns. Oh, wait, they're already nearly completely banned. And you think, oh, how are we supposed to improve this? What are you supposed to do? Follow
Yeah.
Texas, Ohio, Alabama?
Yeah.
You think about that?
Let's try the opposite. See how that works. All right.
Yeah.
Because my mom was just in Texas the other day. She just got back this morning, and the whole shooting happened out there, and
Oh,
of
yeah, I heard
course,
about it. Yeah, I heard
yeah,
about
and,
it.
and I knew exactly what was going to happen. People were going to start talking about gun control, and it's just, and the thing that annoys me is just like, why can't we just be sympathetic to the families? Like, why do we got to make it political? And then you have Beto O'Rourke talking about how he wants to take away everyone's guns now. Just like he says he wants to confiscate them all, which I don't see a need. I don't see why that would even work. Like being like you just said, like we have things in our Constitution that protect us. So if he says, "Give me your gun," I'm gonna say, "No, I have the Second Amendment." It's like that's why
Shall
the
not
Second Amendment is
infringe.
there. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't. I don't know. I think there's because there was a buyback. There was not a buyback, but there was a removal of um, weapons, rifles from like '94 to 2004 here in the
I think
states,
so. I've heard of
and
that.
that
Yeah,
did nothing.
and
And
yeah, someone
it did
used that
nothing.
same exact gun in that requirement for that ban and killed a bunch of people, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
I've
like
heard of
it's
it.
so. I mean, I don't know. I'm over that. But whatever. I'm not giving my gun up, and I will put that on the internet. Like I'm not giving it
I
up.
don't even have a gun. We had two
But
buybacks here. We've had two buybacks here. So the NFA, the National Firearm Agreement, which was in 1996, that was when it was formed. And then I think we've had a 2002 buyback where they took away, not took away, they bought back uh, pistols.
mhm.
So like all pistols are banned here in Australia except if you're in the military, police force, um, uh, what is it? I forgot the name of it, but it's like physical cash movement. So like those armored trucks, how they move cash from ATMs and all.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're allowed to have magnums. Who else? I think it's ex-police and ex-military. I think those are the only five.
Wow.
So they're the only ones you can have. They can have pistols. I mean, I think we're allowed to fire pistols at the range, but we're not allowed to um, buy them here in Australia.
Wow,
So
that's
yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I've been to the range once, shot the .22 bolt action, and
Okay.
I of course know more about guns than I'd say any liberal in the US. I'd say that. I'd bet you $10 that.
Yeah, but I will say, like I like Beto O'Rourke just the other day tweeted like he wants to take back all semi-automatic weapons. I'm like, dude, that includes handguns. Like it's like, but then he'll turn around and say you can keep your handguns. But so it just shows a lack of knowledge on his part. It's like if you actually understood what a semi-automatic weapon was, or if you understood that an AR is not powerful, like if you understood those actual facts, like then I think the gun community, like the people who own guns, would have a little more respect for you. But because you talk about guns like you know them, but yet you know nothing about them, that's like me trying to compare, like talk all this stuff about socialism, but then in reality, I'm actually talking about like capitalism or crony capitalism. It's like it's whoa, but you're saying you know all this about socialism, but you're talking about crony capitalism. Like, get it right.
I mean, he
And it's
may
just
be talking about a revolver, technically not a semi-automatic.
yeah, technically. And it's like so back to the Wild Wild West, right? Like
Yeah,
that's yeah.
lever action.
Um yeah. Exactly.
I mean, you can trigger
Um
lever action pretty fast.
yeah, you could. You could if you train yourself to reload quick enough, or at least cock it quick enough. But let me ask. So like you did earlier, you did mention how the whole immigration thing in the United States is going on, which it's crazy over here. Like you hear, like that's like something I see on the news every single day. It's about this immigration thing all the time, to the point where it's kind of annoying. Because I don't think anyone disagrees that like, hey, like
It's
something,
wasting news time. It's
yeah,
wasting news time, basically.
yeah.
Like
It just
all the
seems,
other important stuff, they're just wasting news time on the wall and on immigration.
yeah. So what do you
And
think about the whole wall and
um,
all that?
um, I have political views on it. I mean, I support Trump's what is it, idea for the wall. I support that, but um, there's also another aspect of me who says that we have the technology of not using a wall as well, because we're advanced human beings, and of course, in the US, you're much more advanced than anywhere else,
Yeah.
especially in terms of military and police force. Um, I mean, no, police force would be Japan. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that the wall is a great solution, but there's only a limit to it. Well, if you use technology such as just more border patrol and what else? Maybe new stuff that may come out. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that may be a better solution to the wall, because then you wouldn't have to spend or have that blockade. I mean, also my personal aspect, I would like to see the view of the other country from my country. So, uh, but I do support the wall for now because I think that it's a great solution, but only for a certain time.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, I can see that. Because I mean, there's a lot of people that have different feelings towards the wall, and like I personally think that if you want to come into America, I could care less. Like, like by all means, come in. But we do have certain laws, and until those laws change, like we should encourage people to follow those laws, right? And so, I mean, I think that's the rational way of putting it, because naturally a parent will get separated from the child when you break the law. Like that's unfortunate, and no one wants that to happen. But if I were to go do something stupid right now, and my wife were to go do something stupid right now, our kids are going to CPS because we did some. And I don't even want to say the people that are crossing the border are stupid. I don't even want to say that. What I am,
It's the sort of aspect of the action that you're taking,
yeah, it's like when you,
because if you come over here illegally, that's much less logical than to get go through the process period and then come here legally.
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
say that,
and
because then there's a decrease of dangers such as drugs coming across the border, guns, illegal, what is it, terrorists coming over the border, pedophiles and rapists, all that stuff.
yeah, no, definitely. And like I get like the people who are trying to seek asylum and stuff, and it's not like we're against any of that, but I mean, like I think it needs to be thought through a lot more than what it is
Mm,
being done. Like I just
mm.
think it's so easy just to, hey, look at this little girl crying. Donald Trump, this is your fault. Like it's like really, like is that really what our political dialogue has like our political discourse has come down to? Like point at a child and blame the president. Like it's just to me it's old. Like in my opinion, it's, okay, this is getting old. I need something more substantial.
Okay,
But
let's use that same example. Obama was in office, yeah, like in 2014, 2015, 2016. Yeah. When they killed a child by accident, when someone kills a child by accident out in Iraq or something, like with a bomb or something, let's blame it on Obama. Let's do that instead of Trump. Blame it on Obama. You know,
um, yeah, right. And
you could use that same logic. You know.
you could. Doesn't make much sense, but you could. But he actually did drop quite a few bombs. Um, Obama did. He was, and then in Mexico, he was also his nickname was Deporter in Chief. He deported more people than
Yeah, he deported more people than no than Trump. Yeah.
yeah, and by far. But
Mm.
let's not worry about that.
I mean,
So
first year Trump deported less people than Obama. Second year deported less people than Obama. Uh, Third year has deported less people in terms of right now,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
then so on, maybe a bit less. You know,
yeah, yeah.
I think the immigration is completely like people, like, you know how they're liberals and libtards, they're going calling, they have Auschwitz or like concentration camps down in the southern border, like right now they're saying that. Like, I'm saying, why would people want to go there if it's a concentration camp? Like, why would people want to go there by themselves, not forcefully like the Nazis did to the Jewish, by themselves, want to go
Yeah.
to those concentration camps? And you know the news, they brought up a picture of they brought up a picture that was taken in 2014. You've
Oh
heard
yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. With the
that one.
kids in the
Yeah.
cages. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. There
And
was
they're
a
saying it's
picture when.
Trump's fault. Yeah.
Oops. Should take that
Uh,
copyright thing off. If you're gonna lie,
yeah.
do a good job at it. But yeah. So before we wrap it up, is there anything else you want to add on to this conversation, or anything else you want to say?
Obama sucks. I mean, that's just the general truth. That's just the general truth. Everything he's done is just plummeted.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
in
yeah.
terms of GDP, he said to Trump, "Oh, you need a magic wand to get it up
Yeah.
to where it is right now." And Trump got it up to where it is right now. It's because he's a businessman. I
Yeah.
could argue hours and hours about this. I mean, also my friends, they say that I'm too young and immature to learn about politics and know what's happening around the world, but I think differ. I
Yeah.
mean, my good friend for like 5 6 years, he said that, and I understand where he's coming from because I have a certain ignorance. I have a certain amount of ignorance.
Mhm.
Like, oh, if you don't want to argue with me, you're completely dumb. That's what I sometimes say, and I don't want conservatives to do that, like young conservatives, and have. I mean, I'm not a young conservative because I'm not in the US right now, but
Yeah.
I do know a lot about US politics. But like, I don't want young conservatives in the US to think that all conservatives are bad, worse than the liberals, when the liberals are clearly the worst.
Mhm.
40-week abortion. Yeah, that says something.
Yeah, no, that says a lot. That says a lot.
Mm.
But like, two things really quick. So, I want to get your take on Obama really quick, but then also, before that, I got to ask, your friend that you keep mentioning, you should definitely mention to him about this channel and see if he's willing to come on and talk about communism.
Yeah, yeah.
So definitely ask him just for me, and if so, just have him message me on Instagram or whatever, and I'll be happy to talk to him. But you mentioned Obama and that he sucks. I think some of the liberals actually agree with you. Some of the Democrats would actually say, yeah, he wasn't that great. But
Oh, they're
before we get
turning
off,
on
I just
each
want
other.
to, yeah, yeah. I mean, naturally they have to, especially with Biden running right now, right? I mean, because if you really liked Obama, you would have picked Biden, who's just going to give you 8 more years of what Obama was already doing. But what was it about Obama that you probably liked the least, besides that he wasn't that good as far as economics went?
Um, so wait, does it have to be in the period of his presidency, or can it be after?
Oh, sure. After if you want.
I mean, there are two things that I sort of disagree because he said that there's climate change and all, and how the sea level is going to rise. Yet he bought like $1 million mansion right next to the sea. Have you
Yeah.
heard about that? Yeah, he
Yeah.
bought $1 million mansion next to the sea. Yeah, and also with his wife, I think is it Michelle Obama?
Hmm.
Yeah, Michelle Obama. She had this sort of um, thing where you would get sort of free food or something. I've heard about this, haven't looked into much about it, but she sort of gave out free food, but it was like just slush and complete shit. I think I've heard about that. I need to do some research about it. But also, there's another thing about Obama. He's taking all the credit of what Trump's done to the economy of the U.S., and I think that's just complete, just bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's extremely dishonest, right? I
Yeah.
mean, buying the mansion right next to the ocean and then saying, I'm going to take all the credit for what Trump has done when it comes to tax cuts and things like that. Yeah. No.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. No. Definitely. I couldn't agree more. And I think I know Michelle Obama. I know she tried to change the way we did in like public school, like lunches and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
That's
yeah,
what it was. Yeah, and it
yeah,
was
and
just slushy shit and all.
yeah, it did not go well. Did not go well at all. So yeah, no, it was pretty
I mean,
terrible.
I'd rather eat a burger than that slushy shit.
Yeah, yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But Sebastian, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. I know it's like what 10 o'clock in the morning there or something like that.
It's around, yeah, around 10:04.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like
I'm guessing it's
17
pretty late
hours.
for you.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's actually 5 o'clock here. So
Jesus. I'm sorry I kept you up.
no, no, no,
Uh,
no, no, not 5 o'clock. No, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like evening.
right.
Yeah, I think you guys are like 17 hours ahead of me, so you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So you're it's still Monday for me. It's Tuesday for you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm basically free curriculum day here. So,
Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice. Um, but yeah, Sebastian, once again, thank you so much. And I hope to talk to
Sorry, you cut out again.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just saying thank you so much for tuning in,
Yeah.
for coming on and chatting with me, and I hope I could talk to you again pretty soon here.
Yeah.
All right,
All right. All
all right,
right. See
take
you
care, man.
later. Thank you.
Later.